Today we have Keriann Bailey on the podcast, and we talk about a little bit of everything. Her start from going to college and getting her bachelor's degree in interior design, all the way through the difference in school and real world design build. We talk about contractors, we talk about process and design, what homeowners should be looking for, a little bit of everything. So I think you're gonna like this episode. Keriann has been working with KHB for the past 2 years. We've done well over 60 projects together. We have a pretty smooth process here with her. So it was great to hear her insight and for her to kind of give some education on the design process. So check it out, like, comment, subscribe, share to your friends, share to your contracting friends, and thank you. All right, so this week on AIS, we have Keriann Bailey. So Keriann is an interior designer. She went to school in Fresno State. She works pretty hand in hand with us here at KHB. And so everyone, welcome KB. Give us a little bit about yourself and how you got to hear your design experience, all that good stuff.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. So like Ryan said, my name is Keriann of KB Interiors. So I pretty much, I've always been like artsy fartsy growing up. I've always like loved to be creative, whether it was like dancing, painting, drawing, making stupid videos with friends. Like I just always like loved being creative. So it was kind of just a matter of like, where do I go with this? And, I think it wasn't until like literally right before I was going to college where my mom was like, well, why don't you, do interior design? You're like always changing things in your room. I was always helping her decorate the house, like set the table, do that type of stuff. So I was like, sure, why not? Let's go. So ended up loving it. And so I got my bachelor's in interior design from Fresno State. It wasn't really until after I graduated and started like getting into the field that I was like, wow, I really have a passion for this. Cause in school, they kind of just like, it's more geared towards like commercial. So like larger scale projects. I think like my senior project was like redesign a 30,000 square foot building. And I'm like, no, thank you.
A little bit different than a kitchen or a bath.
Yeah. I was like, no, thanks. So I really, I got an internship my senior year with a local interior designer, and she really was like, she became my mentor. And I love her. Linda Zorb, professional design consultants out there. Love you, girl. She basically just like became my teacher, and I just like soaked up every bit of knowledge that I could from her. So
nice.
Interior design, residential, kitchen, bath.
Yeah, hospitality space too. You've done some restaurants, you've done
Yes.
some bar scene type stuff.
Yeah, I've done some just, I love people. I love small projects. I love, making people's lives better in that way.
Great.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
So in school, I dropped out of college, right? So
Yes.
I have a very limited experience. I went through gen ed. That was about it. As soon as they started making me do math again, I was like,
Hated it.
I don't want to do math, especially public math.
Yeah.
So what was the big difference between school and real life here? Because what we're doing, we're mostly doing kitchens, baths, home additions, full home renovations, a little bit different environment in the real design build world. Yes. What are the big things that stuck out to you from college to actually doing this for profit in your business?
Yeah. So, that's like the great debate. Like, do you really need a degree to do this or not? Because, you can't have a natural knack. You can't have that eye. I will say that I do push schooling only because I feel like it taught me like the fundamentals. So like drafting, the terminology, like what's an elevation, like lighting plans, and just like the basics of like building codes and stuff like that. But I will say like you don't really know until you get out into the field and like are hands-on in doing it. Or just like even like people skills, because like in a classroom they can't teach you that. So like being out there and working with different people, working with clients, and learning how to kind of steer your client in the right direction. That's really that's where you learn the most, I would say.
Yeah, and being an interior designer, it's almost like in my mind, coming like from outside looking into like school, I would think most of those designers at some point are going to own their own business.
Yes.
And owning your business and being an interior designer are two different things.
Yeah.
Right. So did they ever set you up with almost like a MBA angle to your design credential?
No, they did not.
It
That
was
is
strictly
like, yeah, it was
nuts and
just,
bolts of design.
yep, nuts and bolts of design. And like I said, commercial design, like we weren't really focusing on residential whatsoever. So yeah, that is one thing that I really kind of kicked myself in school. And I wish I would have done something like, because I wanted to own my own business. That's the whole reason why I did this was, I didn't want to work for someone else. And, you get out into the world and you're like, oh crap, what am I supposed to do? So definitely wish that they would have kind of steered us more in that direction too, or at least, shown some light on the importance of that. But, yeah, they did not. They did not.
Yeah, made you figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, I figured it out for yourself. I was like, wait, taxes? What?
I don't get to keep all this money.
I don't get to keep all of it.
Isn't mine? Oh gosh, I remember that when we got hit with our first like workers' comp audit, and we had to pay back, and I was like, "Wait a minute! Like this is legalized thievery here."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, or just even like simply like setting up like your business name, like
yeah,
things like
all
that.
Getting protected corporately, and all the hoops you have to jump through.
Yeah, luckily I had my mentor to kind of help me do that. She had been in business by the time I got to her. She was like on her way out to retirement. So she had been doing it for like 30 plus years. So she kind of knew the ropes and helped me out with that. But
nice.
Yeah.
So after your mentors kind of working with her, where did you go from there? Because you were in Fresno at that point.
Yes.
Now we're in Turlock.
Yeah.
So when did that shift happen? And did you kind of just jump to Turlock, Modesto area and just start your business, or did you work for someone else? Like, what happened there?
Yeah. So after I graduated in 2015, I was still living and working out there. And I that's when I started KB Interiors was 2015. And I was simultaneously working still with that designer. And then in 2018, she retired and she was like, fly, birdie, like go on, And so I worked in Fresno for maybe like 6 months after that. And then just personal reasons, I had decided, like I want to be closer to my family again because I'm from Modesto. So I was like, I want to move back home, be by my family and my friends. And so I decided to make the move. And then I had reached out to a couple places in town, a couple interior designers, but didn't really, get anything back from it. So I just decided like, I'm just gonna do it on my own, do what I was doing in Fresno and try and make connections. And then, what was it? 2021?
21, I think we partnered up.
Yeah. I had accidentally, called, Tony's Woodworking. Love Tony. Called him thinking he was a contractor, like, hey, I need help on a bathroom. And he's like, I just built cabinets. And then he gave me your number and the rest is history.
Yep.
Yep.
Networking.
Yep.
Just happened.
At its finest.
Yeah. Yeah. And now we've probably done over 60 projects or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say close to it in the past, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Crazy how that happens.
I know. So cool.
Feels like
so
yesterday was 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we are, 2023.
Oh gosh.
So in design, specifically with what we do, we don't really touch any commercial space, industrial, hospitality spaces. It's pretty much all residential. How do you feel dealing with those types of customers is different? Because for us, like we picked residential because that's kind of the environment we want to be in. We want to make an impact on people's lives. Whereas, the commercial world's a little bit more black and white, a little bit more transactional than it is intimate, I would say.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, because you do dabble in both industries. So what have you seen in that?
Yeah, it's not as fun to me. I feel like I can't be as like free flow creative because, there are, other certain guidelines that you have to stick to, certain things that you can't do because it's, open to the public, not inside someone's home. But yeah, I just, I much rather be sitting in someone's home where they're living and learn how they live, make it better, make it prettier.
In your process, and obviously how we work through design. What do you feel because I'm always at kind of the debate with like, is space planning and functionality the biggest factor here, or is aesthetics and really material selection is the biggest factor here? Because like when you look at, I don't know, House, or if you go on Instagram, you see these, magazine worthy kitchens. A lot of times looking at the space planning of the kitchen,
doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense, but because they have, $8,000 backlit quartzite slab on the island, and they have, a $10,000 range and all this, really nice material, it's what makes it
marble everywhere. And it's like, that's not.
If I had a customer that had, $700,000 budget every job, it would look like that too, but what do you, what takes precedence in your process? And what do you think homeowners should be looking for when they're looking to design? I'm a fan of function over aesthetic. Yeah. And obviously aesthetic is a factor because of all the marketing we have to do. But what is your thought on that?
So, I mean, like you said, it's like, it's really is subjective of like who the client is and what they want, what they're looking for. I think with like the nice thing about like our clientele is that they appreciate both. And that's what I kind of try my hardest to steer them in that direction of like, we're using the proper material. It's going to look beautiful, but you will also like, it's also functional too.
I think that is kind of a weird spot residentially because they are living in the home every single day.
Yeah.
And we've had a few customers. I remember that Tracy kitchen, or even Ronnie, right? Yeah. In Ripon with the burnt orange backsplash and the matching grain walnut cabinets, like total throwback kitchen where I would never do that in my home. Yeah. But to see how happy she was with everything. And just after we reconstructed the space planning in that area, taking out that wall, expanding an island, like doing
really
all these things.
Opened it up.
Yeah, it really hit their goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's where I get my joy out of what I do is like seeing the client's face at the end or having them just be so happy with how it turned out. And I mean, and clients are like back to the education thing. I mean, clients are doing a better job of educating themselves already, whether it be, like HGTV or like they're doing their research, which is
Pinterest.
Great. Pinterest. I have a love-hate relationship with Pinterest, but it's okay. But, I mean, they really are like doing their research and trying to find things that they really love that are also functional for their daily lives too. And that's, kind of where we come hand in hand and make that happen for them. So
yeah, a lot of our homeowners, they know just enough to get in trouble.
Yes.
Which is, it's great that they're, reaching out, looking for the next big thing in their kitchen, technology wise or space planning and function wise. But oftentimes what they're looking to do, and I do blame this on HGTV a little bit, what they're looking to do and what their budget can do are usually two different things.
Yes, the budget.
Yeah, the Venetian plaster hood and the Decton cladded cabinets and all these extravagant finishes. They just think, well, what? I mean, the slab's $3,500. That should be all it costs.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so, how running your business? How has that been eye opening to the true cost of a service and a product compared to just being on the consumer end, thinking, well, a $3,000 slab is just $3,000.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't really realize that or get into that until I started working with KHB. So I'm like, oh, okay. I see what it costs.
The full back end.
I see the full, all the numbers. So I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So if people are doing it themselves, like more power to them. Like, yeah, you are going to pay $3,000 for a slab, but you have to think about the person that has to fabricate it, that's going to install it. Like there's costs that are tied to that. And it's not just that HGTV budget of, oh, we have $80,000 to work with and we're going to redo your entire house.
Yep. I'm a dog
And they're
walker
like counting, like counting the numbers. And it's like, no, that's not realistic.
Not real life.
Yeah. So I think that's probably the most challenging part is having to explain that to the client. But
yeah, which luckily we do a lot of that.
Yeah.
For you in our own projects.
Yes.
But yeah, dealing with the homeowner directly and getting a budget. And that's the other thing that one of the reasons why our business model is so designed forward, and especially on the front end. I think, we have 22-step process here and 20 steps are not construction.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Only 2 steps of our process are construction. All the other sections of our process, most of them involve design
Yeah.
in some capacity, whether that's the initial floor plan, the MEP layouts, cabinet elevations, selections, mood boards, trim details, like all of this stuff. And what I have found, and what I think would be interesting to get your perspective, is how is that relationship? Because you don't just work with KHB, right?
Yeah.
You work with outside contractors as well. And yeah, this is a plug. I need you to plug me here.
Plugging you right now.
What do you find works best in the design build process when working with a homeowner directly? Because I have found in the front end of projects, the entry point for homeowners talking to a designer is way less than them talking to a contractor, right? Homeowners don't give up their budget to contractors.
Yeah.
We have the saying buyers are liars, because they usually are until they sign a contract, and then all the stuff comes out. They're not very transparent all the time with the contractor, but once a designer comes on the scene, it's usually that best friend mentality
we're like
with the
their
wife.
Therapist. Yeah, we're like the therapist. I really try to become friends with my clients, because at the end of the day, like, I'm trying to get to know you, get to know how you live, and I want, that's kind of just how I run my business. I want you to trust me and trust what we're going to be doing here. So I think that personal connection really like gets them to trust you, brings that out of them. So yeah, I think like seeing the client first before the contractor gets in and having a plan is like the easiest way for me personally to go.
So when you're approaching, so a homeowner reaches out to KB Interiors, you're having a discovery call, I imagine, with them. And then you're setting up a consult. And at this point, you do not have any contractor affiliated. You're just consulting with that homeowner.
Yes, unless they already have a contractor kind of in mind that they've worked with in the past, which sometimes that happens. Sometimes they're like, no, we're open to, whoever you work with, whoever you trust. So that's always, nice too.
Nice.
But, yeah.
So tell me about the design phase. So after discovery call, after you meet up on site, what type of deliverables are you giving, and what type of deliverables do you feel should be standardized in this issue to have in this industry to have a issue-free experience?
Yes, I mean this is the most important part, because I mean without a plan,
it's a plan to fail.
A plan to fail. So what my clients usually get from me will be, or what they do get from me is a fully dimensioned floor plan of whatever space you're doing. They get dimensioned elevations, so 2-dimensional drawings, cabinetry features, lighting features, just very I leave little room for error, just very detailed. Because it makes my life easier. It makes your life easier. I don't have people, contractors like, what is this? Where does this go? So it just kind of leaves little room for error. Material samples. So tile, if we're doing, like draperies, bedding, so they'll get fabric, flooring samples. They get 3D renderings, just so you can really see. Because I have clients that they're like, I can't see it.
They have to be visual.
They're visual people, so you have to show them. So for the longest time, I was actually doing hand drawings for my 3Ds, which I still do it. I dabble here and there, but that was like my art.
Were really good.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was like my art. That was what I've kind of perfected over the years, but it takes me so much time. It takes
Chief
me time.
Architect's a little bit faster.
Yeah, a little bit faster. So I'm like, you know what? Let's expedite this. I need money. No. So, Chief Architect has been my BFF lately. But yeah, it's great. They get 3D drawings, so they get to see what their space is going to look like before it's even done. And, even if they do decide just to take my design and run with it, go somewhere else, then they have everything they need to hand it off to another contractor, and they'll know what to do. So,
yeah. So your service is their property at the end of that design.
Yep.
Good. Yeah. I've met with a few designers where their conceptuals, their floor plans, it's all their property.
Interesting.
And, which I can see the benefits of having that model, because you do kind of handcuff them a little bit, and then they can purchase that at a later date if they want to go somewhere else. But no, I like that. It's very transparent. And from what we've been working with each other on, super easy process as far as homeowner expectations. We've made a really good, customer design deck that really explains everything they're getting.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, I think design in our company is one of the biggest selling factors, is that we have not just a selections meeting. We don't just have a floor plan. We don't just have cabinet shop drawings from the fabricator. We have a sometimes 15 to 20 page design.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, I'm on page 15. Is this too much? Like, how do I consolidate this? But it really is like everything that they need to see, to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of information.
Homeowners love it.
Yeah.
They really do. And like I said, I can attribute a lot of our success on projects just to the design that's been created. So to you, Rose,
thank you,
Layla, when she was working, thank you. I appreciate it. It makes our life so much easier as contractors.
Yeah, well, you guys make my life easier because I'm like, oh, I don't have to deal with ordering anything.
Yeah, or marketing.
Or marketing,
yeah. Any of that stuff, getting the leads in.
Thank you for that.
Of course. So with today's world, we still have the chuck in a truck type, which is fine. That they don't usually use designers. They're asking the homeowner to go pick out all their selections, pick their paint colors, the flooring, tile, and I'll just come and install it. And then you also have kind of a hybrid design build model where a contractor outsources everything to, let's say, a third-party drafting company, and then a local designer for selections, and then subcontractors for the shop drawings and their renderings. I think you have like a true design build model, which I feel like we are in a lot of ways. Where do you think the future of design build is going to go?
I hope towards the KHB way.
So too. Yeah.
I just feel like there's just too many hands in the pot.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And communication is key. And I feel like when it comes to working with, different businesses like that, the communication gets lost.
Yeah.
Or can. In times. I mean, I'm just speaking from personal experience.
Well, especially on the big full home renovations where we're talking $400,000, $500,000, $600,000+ projects, multiple rooms, 3-4 bathrooms, kitchen, flooring, study, library room, like all this other stuff. If there isn't a clear, deliverable, repeatable process around design, it's going to be in failure every time.
Yeah.
And I do attribute the biggest stigma in our industry of contractors being flaky or changing the price after the contract signed. So change orders, not having clear communication, not having clear deliverables and expectations with the homeowner. I think homeowners are getting better at educating themselves, like you've said. Yeah. But I also think the design build model mitigates all of those issues, like in the beginning of the project. And so my hope is that, people kind of follow suit and copy our business model here, because so many oh my gosh, I just had a homeowner in Ripon like last week who called me in February and they're about to close on their home in Ripon, full home renovation, all the bathrooms, flooring, paint, custom kitchen, all the cabinetry throughout the house. And I gave her a ballpark quote over the phone. I'm saying, hey, historically, this was like a 4,000 square foot home.
Yeah.
Like, you're looking at $250,000 minimum. And then it's just going to go up from there. We've done this for $250,000. We've done this for $750,000.
Yeah.
Really is going to depend on design and what you select. She didn't like that answer. She talked to another contractor. He was like, I'll do it for 180, right? No contract, no design. At that time, no permit pulled, no construction documents, no shop drawings of cabinetry. Just the homeowner picked out some pretty colors that she liked, and he was running with demo.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, terrifying.
That's scary.
Terrifying. One, like that project should take us around 55 business days. For that contractor that has no plan, it's going to take him maybe 150 business days.
Yeah, I was going to say timeline too. I mean,
it's going to take him 8 to 12 months when it could take us 3.
Yeah,
with execution. Anyway, so homeowner calls me and we're chatting on the phone. We're talking. We're going through the process again. And I was like, not to be rude, but we talked a few months ago. You had this contractor come in here, demo it. Why are you calling me again? What can I do for you here?
Yeah.
Because project started. You didn't go with us, but now you're trying to come back to me on how you should handle the situation you're now in.
Always come back.
They always come back. I told her, I was like, I feel like I'm the guy in the friend zone that you go to after your boyfriend beats you.
Yeah.
You know, like it's true. Yeah. Producer Dave
the
laughing.
one that listened.
Yeah. Well, I did. I put a lot of time, on the front end of projects to make sure they feel like there's trust there and they understand the process. They know we're a good contractor. It's going to execute. So anyways, she was like, well, after our first call, we just had so much good information from you and we really like your process. We just didn't like the price tag. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, I could have told you that, hey, he said 180. I could race to the bottom here and do it for 150, right? Mm-hmm. I could do 3-wall prefabricated showers, prefabricated pan. We won't have a designer. We'll come and go as we please and get this done at our leisure. Mm-hmm. And I could do it for $150,000, but what's the point of that, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be paying 2 mortgages. Like you want a design inspired process, a design inspired creation. Like you want to be in this home and enjoy your home. And I kind of went on a rant, but it ended up like I told her, I was like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, cause my price isn't going to change. And now you already paid this guy, 20, 30,000 for demolition. And then we'll probably have to go back in there and change some stuff he did. And it all reduces down to, just go with a designer. Right? Because that contractor who completely sabotaged this, in my mind, it might not be as bad as I think it is.
Yeah.
But in my mind, this is sabotage. Like this project is
still there's no plan.
Set up for like failure off the bat.
Yeah.
But even if that contractor, called you, right, and said, hey, I got this homeowner. I told her I could do it for $180,000. What is it going to cost to get construction documents, floor plans, space planning, mood boards, renderings, all this other stuff, so I can make sure like we're on the same page with the homeowner.
We can do it for $180,000.
Yeah, right. And if you just did that, at least that's like, it doesn't have to be an explicit process, but at least there's like some sort of process there. Like he understands that he has to have these things to be successful. This contractor's been in business 30 years. Right?
Yeah.
And I hope they hear this because they can be pissed off as much as they want. It's a joke. Like if you want to be taken professionally and you want to have some sort of, not clout, but like some sort of reputation, you need to run a professional service. Yeah. And these guys that have been around for 30 years and then, talking crap about designers and talking crap about the design build contractors coming up and all this other stuff. It's like,
yeah.
Don't be mad at us because you're failing and we're taking over.
No, I agree. I feel like it is harder with, like the contractor and designer relationship. It can always, it depends on.
Yeah, this is a good topic.
It depends on, the personality. But I've definitely worked with contractors that I knew did not like me.
Yeah.
And I take it to heart.
Well, let's dive into that. So why do you think contractors have an issue with interior designers?
Because sometimes some of us, I try not to do it, but we have unrealistic visions, ideas.
Okay. So you don't have the construction knowledge to back up your design.
Yes, exactly. And then that's where education comes in. So I tried to, I worked at a tile shop in Fresno. I've worked for a cabinetry company. I'm trying to add tools to my tool belt and make sure that I'm doing things that are not unrealistic, that contractors won't be like, oh my God, like, how are we going to make this happen? Or unrealistic expectations from clients and having, clients in their ears, like, Keriann said this can happen, or make it happen. So that's where I think that contractors and designers butt heads is when you do have a designer that maybe just doesn't care about those things. Like they do have the knowledge, but they're like, make it happen, or they don't have the knowledge and they're just kind of like, no.
Yeah. I agree with most of that. I think there's a 2-part thing here, and the 2 parts is two different types of contracting companies working with a designer. So the first is the independent contractor that maybe it's him and a helper, him, 2 and 3 employees, but he's directly responsible for the production of the job site, whether that's self-performing all the trades or being on site project managing, whatever it may be. And that big frustration is design coming in and saying, no, put this here. No, do this there. Yeah. And the project takes longer than it should. The contractor probably has to either pass a cost or two along to the homeowner or eat that cost. And a lot of animosity gets bred in that environment, right? The second is a similar thing. If a designer doesn't have a clear design or a clear plan, but this contractor is, let's say, more like KHB, right? Like we have a pretty granular pulse on our numbers and what it costs every day down to the hour to keep the lights on and keep profitable, keep this business going. And then that contractor says, or that designer says to that contractor, hey, no, you know what? Let's add 2 switches here, or let's change this lighting plan up middle of the project. Let's change the paint color on the exterior, or let's do this, let's do that.
Yeah.
And then that contractor usually is frustrated because, you know, for us, we eat $1,600 a day.
Yes.
If we go over schedule, it's $1,600 a day. So while we might not have to charge that homeowner change in paint color because maybe it's an easy swap out, right? Or maybe we don't have to charge them for that extra switch because we have it in stock. We still have to charge them that hourly overhead burden to put that switch in or to add that other switch. So it's labor, materials, and overhead and profit.
Yeah.
It's not just labor and materials and you tack on 10% like the other contractor might do. So I think the root of that animosity is communication, once again. And that's why I really love the design build model and how, because it should be a team, like the architect, engineer, interior design, contractor, we're all on a team here, but everyone treats it as if we're separate, right? And then once egos start colliding and everything else, it just gets thrown out with trash. But
yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, I didn't really see that side of it until I started working with KHB. Because I mean, before, like I said, I worked with a designer who had been in business for 30 years and she was totally like that. Like there'd be paint on the walls and she'd be like, that is disgusting. Paint it something else, you know, and they would do it. But she, you know, worked with contractors that she'd been working with, you know, for years. So they were like used to it. But yeah, I never really saw that or understood the like, oh, there's numbers attached to this and there's, you know, feelings.
So here's a bold prediction of what I think is going to happen in the next 10 years. So there's always going to be an economy for the 1-man to 3-man show contractors that are, you know, not saying their quality of work's bad, but their price is lower because they don't have the burden of running a large construction company. So that economy is never going to go away because there's always going to be middle to low class, middle to upper class, and then obviously wealthy. Those 3 class tiers aren't going anywhere. So we need people to serve all 3 tiers of society, right? Designers, only the upper middle class to the higher end of society typically uses a designer. What I think is going to happen, and with the new age of buyer, actually what Steve said on the podcast earlier, for every, you know, 1 person coming into the trade, 6 people are leaving. Only contracting companies that are going to be alive are the ones that are design build and they build it to last and they build to be profitable. They build to scale because if you're not growing, you're dying. And I think those 1-man shows, all of the older contractors that are working with these designers right now, once they retire out, these designers are not going to be able to last in this economy at all. Because a lot of them don't have processes. They love pretty things and they love making awesome projects, but they also have contractors under their thumbs in order to execute those projects. And that's not how it's going to be in the next 10 years. Yeah. It's going to be design build model with architectural team, engineering, maybe still outsourced or in-house, design team in-house, and construction team in-house.
Yeah. I mean, it makes the most sense.
It does. And I just don't think the economy will bear it. And I think the smaller contractors are still going to serve that population that's more the repair side or the low-end kitchen or the resell type real estate flip type environment. And they'll be under the thumbs of that developer or that homeowner. But everything over here, that middle, let's say that $45,000 to $50,000 threshold of a bathroom and up through custom kitchens and full home renovations, additions, it's going to be design build. And I see it all the time. Like, and this isn't a clout thing at all. No arrogance in this statement, but we eat their lunch when I go on a sales walk with the deliverables that our company has compared to someone that doesn't have those resources or to other companies that aren't structured in a similar way. I think, you know, we're at a 60% close on those types of situations, all because of our design process.
It's just
huge.
Amazing. So amazing. Yeah. I like I said, I think it makes the most sense, because why would you have all of these other, separate businesses when it could just be a powerhouse?
Well, and I imagine oh yeah, I forgot about powerhouse design. And I also imagine, like, you didn't go to school to get out of school and be a designer, be a project manager, be a general contractor running subs, being an estimator, going out and getting bids for these homeowners. But how many times has that happened to you when you're working with?
A lot.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what I was a one-man show for a couple of years, and it's so stressful. I just want to be able to sit down, talk to my client, be creative, and deliver a beautiful space for them. I don't want to have to worry about.
You don't want to have to get the bids, build the schedule,
I don't want to have
subs.
to submit for permits. I don't want to do all that junk. Yeah, just want to make my client happy.
Yeah. It is broken in a lot of ways, but I do really think, especially the people our age, in their 30s, mid 30s, I know, at least when I'm buying something, if there's any red flag in the process, there's other options, right? Like, I don't have to go to this car lot to buy this car. I don't have to go to Walmart to buy, I don't know, freaking headphones, right? Like, I can pick the experience I want to have. Yeah. And I really do think that the new age of buyer that's just getting into the money to start renovating, which we've seen, the average buyer age has been dropping lately. Those people aren't going to deal with this crap.
No.
And why would they?
No.
Yeah.
Again, doing their research, and they're going to go with the best of the best, or whoever's going to fit their needs. And
they're perceiving value different too. I do think that the baby boomer age, they perceive value with a price tag, right? Like the best value for your buck type thing. Like, oh, we're getting this kitchen. And it was kind of like the commodity thing that we talked about, like on the past 4 freaking podcasts, as construction being viewed as a commodity, where I don't feel like design is in a lot of ways. But with that buyer exiting and not really worrying about the bottom line cost, this new generation of buyer is down to pay $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for a thorough interior design plan, and then go to a contractor or just go to straight design build to execute that at an efficient time. Because I feel like people nowadays, it's all about attention and time. That's all people care about.
Yeah.
They want it to be gorgeous. They want to get attention for their kitchen. They want to post it on their Pinterest and their Instagram.
All about the Instagram, all about the gram. Yeah.
And they want it now.
Yeah.
It's the Amazon effect of buying. They want it now. They don't care about the cost as much as they care about efficiency in the product.
Exactly. And like in the grand scheme of things, what's $4,000 for a kitchen design?
How many times are you going to a project, you're designing a kitchen, designing a bathroom, and then that project comes to us, KHB, it might go, the homeowner has a contractor they prefer, and then maybe one other contractor. They're getting their 3 bids, which is recommended. I do recommend that for homeowners. How many times do you see, our price is typically the second or third highest there, or I guess first or second highest, and then you have the middle of the road bid, and then you have the lowball bid. And let's say the homeowner goes with that lowball bid. You're with them for that full process, right? Like, know how their experience is. And at the end of that project, how many times is that original price that they were quoted the finished price?
Never. It always goes up. Things always change.
And it usually ends up around the price we quoted.
Yeah, around the price that you quoted. Yeah. I mean, I think the first project that we worked on together, I think when I called you out for that kitchen, I think she ended up going with, the chunk in a truck, and it ended up being like 80 grand plus, and it was like around the price that you had originally given them. Yeah. So it was like, dang it. And it probably took 2 months longer too.
Yeah.
Than what it should have. So that was disappointing. I know. That's why I'm like,
which I don't. No. So like, I don't know how to translate that value to a homeowner up front, especially someone that hasn't done this before. Like, our best customer is someone that happened to them, and then they come back to do their bathroom or a home addition, and they're like, nope, not doing that again. We're gonna go with KHB on this. Because we have that no change order guarantee. So the price we quote after design is the finished price.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get to homeowners that, one, if you have a design from a designer and it has all the selections, it has the mood board, it has the renderings, it has the cabinet elevations, everything's there. There is no reason for a change order, especially in a like-for-like kitchen remodel, a like-for-like bathroom remodel. There are some things in older homes when we're doing home additions where tying in might not be what we thought it was going to be, or upgrading a main service panel, rewiring a home. But those are risks that are explicit, right? There's no hidden risk in a kitchen remodel, really.
Yeah.
If you've done enough of them, you know what's really behind that wall 99% of the time. And the 1% of the time, you stand behind your quote and you just do it.
Yeah.
Right? That's why we came up with
Find something crazy.
that no change order
fix it.
guarantee. Yeah, you just fix it, right? Like if the ducting for the hood is 6 inch and we're putting in a 700 CFM that's an 8 inch, you should know you're going to have to expand or redo that duct work to the exhaust for 8 inch. But yet contractors get in there low, they start change ordering, and it's so frustrating when I hear from a homeowner, because I follow up with all of them after their project, even with another contractor. I'm like, hey, how was that experience for you? What was the in price, if you don't mind me asking? And it's always like right around what we would have just done it for.
It could be like a couple grand off, but it's like.
Yeah, but even $5,000 is the value of saving $5,000 equivalent to your project finishing 2 months faster. Right?
No.
Right? That's 2 months of memories you missed out in that home. That's 2 months of experience you didn't get to have in your kitchen. 2
months of people being in your house.
Of the just circus
Life
parade.
disruption.
Yeah. Okay. That's going on the drawing board. We need to figure out how to fix that.
Grinds my gears too.
I almost want to have homeowners come in that we didn't do their project. They went with someone else and have our proposal there and then have their in price and then have a podcast with that homeowner and be like, so let's talk about this. How did that go for you? Like that chicken ripping. I would love to call her back and be like, would you mind doing a podcast about your experience here?
Yeah.
I think that'd be huge. Put that on the schedule, David. We're calling the ripping chick.
Put it on the idea board.
Calling Holly. Yep. Well, I mean, I think we covered a lot of good topics here today.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time. I know your schedule's busy.
Of course. Thank
and,
you.
Oh, look at this. We got people. We have an on-air sign and everything. I swear. We do. It's not on right now though, huh? No? Shoot.
It's on.
It's on. Anyways, we covered a lot of great topics today. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Of course. Thank you.
Looking forward to a long future together, and we'll see you on the next one.
Same. Let's do it.
See ya.
Bye.